Hello, everyone, and my name is Tejas, and I'm a Business Development Manager here at BGL Corporate Solutions. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to view our product demonstration on Australia's leading cloud-based corporate compliance solution, CAS 360. And obviously, through the course of this demonstration, we'll be going through all of the critical features that form part of the really simplistic workflow that is our corporate compliance solution. And of course, covering off some of the new updates that we've rolled out over the course of the last 6 months as well. So as you all know, BGL has a history of building corporate compliance solutions over the last 30 years across the MS-DOS, desktop, and now cloud platforms. So obviously what we've done is we've incorporated a lot of the core functionality that we've been able to really sort of fine tune and sort of streamline over the last 20 odd years or so, and now take that to the cloud, and then now open up more integration capabilities in terms of talking to other third-party applications, but also to provide a much simpler and easier user interface that can be accessed anywhere, anytime, on any device. So without further ado, let's kick things off. Okay. So some of the major features that we'll be taking a look at today are as per this slide. So first and foremost, the CAS 360's award-winning workflow is underpinned by our smart alerts. So essentially what this means is that we, the way that you'd sort of actually go about your daily workflow is through an alert system, which sort of alerts you to the fact that if you've got upcoming annual reviews, or you've received the annual reviews, or if you've got upcoming document deadline dates, and if you've got any outstanding company debts for any of the companies they manage. Now, best part of all of this is that we are integrated with the ASIC database, and we're constantly refreshing with them every couple of minutes or so to bring the most up-to-date information around the companies that you manage. Also, a big part of this is that it eliminates the need for you to maintain any spreadsheets or calendars to sort of identify upcoming work in the pipeline. CAS 360's with simplistic user interface automatically tells you what is upcoming, and therefore, alerting you to the fact, for want of use of a better word, to let you know what you need to sort of action. Okay. Furthermore, to complement that, we've got automated SMS and email reminders. So essentially, you can, for any of the documents that you do generate out of CAS 360 for the purposes of your companies and trusts, you can set up automated SMS and email reminders to prompt the client to send those documents back in a timely fashion. And you can use a combination of SMS and email to do that. Over the last update, we have now incorporated functionality for supporting international mobile numbers as well, which so therefore allows you to be a bit more proactive in terms of ensuring documents are returned in a timely manner. Okay. We do support the ability to produce pre-incorporation documents for new companies. However, we complemented that by integrating with a number of document providers for the purposes of providing legal documentation. So trust deeds and company constitutions, we work with a number of providers to sort of offer that or to sort of complete that sort of end-to-end flow in terms of producing the pre-incorporation documents and then registering a new company and then having those details appear in CAS 360. Got a fully featured trust register, so effectively we've worked tirelessly over the last couple of months to improve the functionality around producing distribution statements, producing your letters and minutes, producing or being able to sort of record any events through a new trust events register to sort of have that single source of truth for all of the trusts that you manage. Typically, we've found a lot of firms will either manage this manually, or you might even be using another software program to do that. And we have now sort of, worked to be able to sort of transition you pretty easily to use our trust register, and that works quite well to sort of complement the corporate compliance functionality for companies. So CAS 360, in essence, is your single source of truth for all of the companies and trusts from an administration or administrative perspective. We've also got a two-way integration with Xero Practice Manager and Xero HQ. So effectively, you can sync contacts between Xero Practice Manager and CAS 360 and vice versa. We also sync to jobs in Xero Practice Manager as well. Now, a big part of CAS 360 functionality, which has been quite apparent over the last couple of years, is the ability to embed electronic signatures into documents produced out of the software. So we integrate with Adobe Sign and DocuSign for the purposes of embedding those electronic signatures. And what this really does is it really automates the document delivery piece, where you can generate the documents in CAS 360, email straight out to the client. The CAS 360 will track when that client has actually opened the document pack and if they've signed it. And once it's signed, you'll get a notification back to let you know that the client has signed it, and then the signed document. And then obviously that data comes back into CAS 360. So what you're able to eliminate is the fact that there's no requirement now to print, sign, and scan documents. So all of those documents can be returned in a timely manner. And of course, everybody wants access to information at their fingertips, so people can sign, or your clients can sign these documents on their mobiles and so forth. And last but not least, multi-company changes. So we'll be taking a look at that. So you can institute multiple changes across companies in CAS 360. So for example, there's, you've got a client who's a director across multiple companies, and you need to change the registered office address for all of them. You can do them in one hit within our software. Okay. So just a couple of things a couple more things that we'll go through. So obviously, we've been operating in the cloud since 2017, and we've now got over 500,000 plus companies operating on our platform. Now, for those of you who are using CAS Desktop, we do have a migration tool that allows you to migrate all of your companies across to CAS 360, and we will maintain all of your historical data and your historical documents. Absolutely nothing is lost. We can migrate up to 500 companies per hour using our migration tool. For those of you using another piece of another software, or currently using the ASIC portal to undertake your corporate secretarial work, we will import all of your companies from ASIC, and we can get you up and running from anywhere between 1 to 5 hours, depending on the total number of companies that you have. So essentially, once you've got your ASIC, so you will, for those of you who haven't used a software program for this before, you will be required to register for Edge with ASIC. And once you've got those details, we'll simply key them in and import all of your companies for whom you are the registered agent. We are hosted on the Amazon Web Services platform and fully ISO 27001 compliant. We are in the esteemed company of the likes of Xero, Commonwealth Bank, and Netflix, all use the Amazon Web Services servers to host their services. We also feature two-factor authentication as part of the as the default process for logging in. So therefore, you always have the peace of mind that your data is always very securely accessed. And we also have the ability to have unlimited users. So each user will have their own login, and there's no need for users to share logins. Of course, we've covered off digital signing. So we've currently got Adobe Sign and DocuSign as the two electronic signature partners, and we are looking to onboard more partners over the next couple of months. So certainly a space to keep watching, because there will be more providers integrating into our platform. And of course, the corporate secretarial process, which we'll be taking a look shortly. And we'll just move on to the last bits and pieces before we take the software for a bit of a spin. All right, some of the key differences between what we do is, or where we differ is, with CAS 360, we can handle very complex share transactions. So it's not limited to just allotments and share transfers. You can process all of the fully prescribed ASIC or fully prescribed transactions as allowed by ASIC. So things like buybacks, redemptions, and cancellations, and so forth can be processed within our software. We've also got a fully featured trust register, which caters for unit trusts, discretionary trusts, bare trusts, and hybrid trusts, with the ability to produce all of the relevant documents, such as minutes and so forth, for changes that are instituted across any of your trusts. There's certainly a significant, we take great pride in ensuring high accuracy in data validations, because we're constantly talking to the ASIC database. We're able to sort of make validations instantly to ensure that there aren't any errors when you sort of progress through your workflow for generating a document pack, whether it comes to an annual review or a change of company details. And further to that, you can also fully customize all of your documents. All document templates are fully customizable in CAS 360. We use Word document templates to sort of provide that infrastructure. And then, of course, our base templates are basically CCHI are provided by CCHI firm to ensure the base templates are fully compliant. And of course, unparalleled support. So you are supported by our support team. You are also supported by our onboarding team, who will help you with the initial transition to CAS 360. Whether you're coming off the ASIC portal or another piece of software, or even if you are, almost certainly if you are using our desktop product. And you also have access to your BGL account manager as well, who will periodically check in on you to provide you updates around the industry, and of course updates within our software suite. All right, so without further ado, let's go and take a look at what CAS 360 looks like. When you log into CAS 360, you're presented with the main company selection screen, and basically this is the single source of truth for all of the companies that you're managing. So obviously here, as you can see, I've got all of the companies that I'm the listed agent for, and furthermore, I've got the alert system here, which gives me the status of where they stand in relation to the annual reviews, if we're approaching any document deadline dates, or if the deadline date has passed, and last but not least, if there's any outstanding debts with ASIC. Okay. And then furthermore, I've got my advanced filters here on the left-hand side. So so obviously this main company selection screen is more of a helicopter view to give me that overall sort of state of play, if you will. And then if I need to sort of really drill down and focus on things that I need to action on really quickly, I can use the advanced filters here on the left-hand side to really sort of drill down, and then even further sort of use the secondary filters, which are based on either time frames or statuses. Okay. I've also got the ability to have labels. So labels are customizable or customized filters that you can create. So that might relate to staff members, or if there's clients that you're paying the ASIC fee on behalf of, or you might have different office locations. You might have clients that don't who prefer not to use digital signatures, or any kind of sort of parameter that you wanted to sort of create to use as a filter. You can create a label, and then furthermore, you can then use that label to then filter out your companies. Okay, and then when I click that out, then that'll just bring me back to the main company selection screen. Okay. We've recently launched the filter columns functionality. So when I click on this, you're presented with the mandatory columns that you're always presented with, and they can't be changed. But we can now add some new columns to that view to obviously give us that instant detail that we're after. So if I wanted to have, for example, a client number, I would simply toggle that on. If there's a if I wanted to sort of have if I wanted to see any specific partners of the firm who are associated with that, I could simply toggle that on. I click save, and that will then generate that view for me. Okay, so now I've got these two columns here, and that's on a user basis, so that doesn't it's not a global setting that you can apply across the software. So any user who's logged in at that particular time will then have that customized view, and you can then reverse that if needed by simply clicking back onto filter columns and untoggling those options. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at the annual review process, and we'll see how simple that is. So what I can do is I can either hover over the alert, and then I can then go into annual reviews, or I can simply click on reviews here on the left-hand side of the screen, and that'll take me into all of the reviews that I have received. And what you can see here, it's done a comparison with ASIC to sort of validate to see if the information held on the ASIC database matches what's in Simple Fund 360. Of course, I can sort of process those if I needed to, but then again, the comparison report tells me where the discrepancies are, and then as I can see with this particular company, there's differences between the members and then the share structure, of course. Going back into annual reviews, so now what I can do, so let's say I'll select that company, so I'll go there and click on prepare documents. And this brings me to the document production screen. The document production screen is where all of the magic happens in CAS 360, and is a pretty common feature as you sort of progress through all of through these steps or your workflow. So think of it as the engine room of as such, because this is where you're able to generate the document pack. So it's automatically sort of got the solvency resolution. I've got the annual company statement and a few other documents, and then I can change the order in which it is presented to the client. I can untoggle the cover letter if I needed to, and then again, if I click on options, I can then select select any specific document template that I wish to apply to this document pack. Okay. And then, of course, the form signatory as well. So we'll just save that for now. Solvency, we've got the solvency resolution there. If this needs to be approved by a manager or a partner, we can toggle that on and then assign the reviewer's email so that the reviewer will get notified of this annual review and process, and then they can approve that if they're happy with the way the document pack presents to the client. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to now send this out to the client, but also as part of that email document delivery process, in parallel, set up the automated reminders so that we can sort of set and forget when we need to sort of follow up with the client if the documents haven't been received within a particular time frame. So all I do here is select that, and we'll click here and select this option to set up automated document reminders. So firstly, what will happen is it brings up the preview email dialog box, and here I've got an email template which then has a link to the ASIC invoice, and then of course to the document pack. This email template can be embedded on the client, so you can put in any last minute notes. Of course, you can always change the standardized templates as per our functionality or our default functionality. Okay, so all of that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'm just going to go ahead and click send. Just going to do some validations, and it will now send that document out to the client. Okay. And now that that's done, I've now got the ability to set up the automated document reminders, so I can set up as many reminders as I need to. And then I can also choose my own schedule. So whatever schedule works for you, you can obviously accordingly set that up. So whether that's weekly, monthly, or whatever you need to do so. And then, of course, the ability to select the reminder templates, whether they be email or SMS, or both. Okay. And this is where you can choose to use both options. All right. So we'll just select save. And now that's done. All right. So now let's go and take a look at what the client-facing view looks like. So what we've done here, we've processed the annual review, we've sent it out, we've emailed it out to the client. Now the next bit is for the client to actually electronically sign the document pack. So what I'm going to go do here is just refresh my emails, and then I should have an email from CAS 360. Okay, so here we go. I have now received this email from CAS 360. Typically, I would have my firm name there, so that's what would appear as the sender, and then this is the email that the client would receive. So as you can see here, I've now got the options to pay the ASIC invoice and to review the document pack. Now, when I click on Pay Now, that will redirect to a Australia Post gateway where the client can then enter in their credit card details and then pay the ASIC invoice. And upon payment of this, that will update the debt alert in CAS 360. Furthermore, now let's go and sign these documents. Okay, so in this demo environment, we are connected to DocuSign. So what we're going to do now is we're going to review the document pack and sign this. All right. Select that there. Start. No, I'm going to try and use my own. It's going to be a really bad version of that, but we should be okay. Okay, and now that's done. So as you can see here, it is so easy to actually send out the document packs from CAS 360 for them to be then signed through an electronic signature interface. And furthermore, then that will be returned back into CAS 360. Okay. So now if I click on the notification bell, so typically I will have a notification come through to say that the document has been electronically signed. So that's the annual review process. Our most recent release has now finally put together what is probably a significant time saver, is the ability to process bulk annual returns. So what I can do here is, again, within this review screen, I can now select all of the companies. So whether I want to select the ones that have just passed, or I could select all of them. And then I can simply click on Prepare Documents. As you can see, it sort of brings to my attention that there's some that have failed the comparison report. I can then choose to either proceed with the ones that have just passed or just proceed with all of them. And then this will bring up the bulk document production screen, obviously where I select all of the various document templates. And if I needed to, I can sort of specifically change that. Okay. And then I can either export all of that to PDF if I'm looking to sort of manually sort of print those, or I can just simply click on deliver by email, and then that'll use the email addresses for the contacts that are saved in the CAS 360 database. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll just select that, and then we can simply proceed. Okay. So that's how that process works. So yeah, really, really handy now that you can sort of do a bulk process of annual returns. You can also choose to, I might deselect that, but I can select just the companies that I wanted to process, or I can sort of bulk select all. Okay. All right. Okay. So. As I said, this is the most recent release, so please feel free to jump on our website and take a look at the most recent release notes. Okay, or you can even find that through the community link here. That'll link you to all of the most recent updates, but also the BGL community, where a whole heap of users that they share their feedback or ask their questions. Okay. All right. So we'll now go back to the company selection screen. And now we're going to take a look at processing a change of company details or what's called a Form 484. So we'll use this company as I have been before. Okay. So what we've got here is you're presented. So when you click on the company, you're presented with all of the attributes at the top of the screen here. And of course, anytime you process a change to any of these attributes, that will form the basis of your Form 484. Okay. So whilst we're here, you've got the basic information here of the company and of course the status. If you needed to deregister the company, you simply click on deregistered and that will then prepare the forms. Okay. All right, so let's go. And so if I take a look at addresses, I've got an audit trail of all of the changes to the addresses. And this is also from where I can then process all of my address changes. Okay, so each time we process a address change, that will produce the Form 484 and of course the minutes. What I might do, I might just remove all of those so that we can go through the process to see how the combined Form 484 produces in CAS 360. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the registered office address and I'm going to select that and we'll go ahead and click save. So what that's done now is that's been able to process that address change and that's pushed it into document production. And as I mentioned to you before, it then produces the Form 484 and the minutes or resolution. At any given time, I can click on the relevant document to do a quick preview to see how it actually spits out the information into the prescribed ASIC form. So as I can see here, I've got all of the agent details. I've got the company name, but then most importantly, the change of address and the date of change. Furthermore, I've also then got the minutes, which will bring up a standard template that we're currently using in this environment, which then obviously has the change of address. Okay. Awesome. So now what we'll do is we will then resign an officer. So let's say, for example, there was a director resignation. I would simply then change that status to resigned, and then over here, I'll be able to then sort of then take a look at obviously the previous history as well, as long as all of that history pertains to activity within CAS 360. Important to note that when we do import data from ASIC, we're not able to bring through historical data. The data that comes through from ASIC will be whatever is available on the ASIC register as of that date. Okay. Furthermore, that produces the document. Okay. All right. So as you can see here, it's brought up a validation error because this, due to a new update, you're no longer able to see the last remaining director on ASIC record. So this is how smart the software is in fact in alerting you to the fact that you can't just you're not able to resign the last remaining director of the company, which we know can be quite questionable. So yeah, I suppose that's probably one feature that we wanted to sort of demonstrate through this process. That's how ASIC or that's how CAS 360 has alerted you to that fact. So remove that, and we're now good to go. Okay. Let's now go and take a look at shareholders. So as you can see here in the shareholder screen, it's very feature rich because you've got the ability to have all of the history in relation to all of the share transactions. And as we spoke earlier, we've got the full list of ASIC prescribed transactions in CAS 360, and they're not just limited to allotments and share transfers. So you can process any of these transactions in CAS 360, and it will produce the relevant documents in relation to those transactions. So what we'll do here is we'll take a look at a share transfer. So I'm going to do a share transfer from myself, and actually I might select somebody who's actually got some shares. So go there and we'll transfer that to Lisa. So let's transfer 10 shares. I can choose to select the meeting status down here. And then I've also got the share certificate details. So if I need to amend this certificate number, I can do so. And then upon doing so, it will then change the incremental order. Okay. So all looks good. Let's go ahead and click save. So now I've got the form here. And well, I've got the transaction here rather, and then I have now the donut has now updated, and I can now then click on prepare forms, which will then have all of the associated documents. That forms part of this document pack. So I've now got the members register, which I can quickly preview, and that's obviously got a historical members register there. I have now got a share certificate. Okay, that obviously now got the updated shares held by each of the associated shareholders. And I've also got a share transfer form. Okay. And I can then also go back and view my minutes. So we've now got the change of address, and then we've also got the transfer of shares within the same minute. So therefore, you're not having to have an individual document for each of the changes. Okay. And then furthermore from here, you can then choose to set up your document reminders as we've seen previously. And then of course, by clicking on send all, that would then, well, I'll select a signatory here. So then you will then be able to then send out the document pack as per the process that we previously saw with the annual returns, and then furthermore track the documents. Okay. And that's processing your Form 484 or a change of company details in CAS 360. So if I look at the documents tab, this is where I'll have a full audit trail or a full history of all of the documents generated out of CAS 360. So at any given time, I've got the statuses, and then, especially when it comes to Form 484s, that'll update to once the document has been signed. And then what I can do is I can then obviously click through to lodge that with ASIC. Okay. I've then also got a range of filters here to see which ones have been electronically signed and if the documents have been lodged and so forth. Okay, so that forms part of that's the Form 484. At any given time, so you can also upload documents here. So any historical documents that you need to upload, you're more than welcome to do so from within this screen. Okay. Okay, so moving on, now we're going to take a look at multiple company changes. So all I do is I can then click on multiple company changes here on the left-hand side of the screen, and then I can then institute those changes. So let's say I'm going wanted to change the registered address for all of um, for, a couple of companies. All right, so as I can see here, that's now brought up any other company with the same registered address. And then what I can do is I can then select that toggle switch, and then I can then put in the new address. So just select. So now I've got that. I've got that there, and then all I have to do is then go and click on prepare forms. So as you can see, it has brought up a validation error, and the reason for that is, as you would have seen before, we've already produced a change of address. So essentially, as part of this process, it's identified that you've already done this before, so you will have to resolve that error before you actually progress with that. So if I simply remove this, then I can go and prepare the form. Okay. So now you've seen what multiple company changes can do. So essentially, what it allows you to do is to obviously at any given time prepare forms to institute changes across multiple companies in one single hit. Okay, and then you've obviously got the audit trail in which that presents. Cool. So now let's go and take a look at our trust register. So I simply click on the trust selection screen here, and this brings up all of the trusts that I currently manage within my database. We've got a trust import template that you can download, which would obviously populate all of these columns here on the top of the screen, and then we can then import that into CAS 360 for you. Obviously with trust, there is, in terms of sort of populating all of the information, it is a bit manual, but that's the only way we can really do that is by utilizing this trust import template. So as I mentioned before, so we support unit trusts, hybrid trusts, discretionary trusts, and we also support bare trusts as well. Okay. So again, you can utilize labels to sort of add any sort of customized filters, and then of course you can, and then within this screen here, then you've got obviously a range of parameters to sort of identify all of the key information around those trusts. So we'll take a look at a unit trust, and then we'll furthermore take a look at a discretionary trust. So I'll select the BGL unit trust just as an example. Again, similar to companies, I've got all of the attributes at the top of the screen, and each time I produce any changes, that will produce the document pack. Okay, I can also upload a trust deed from this trust detail screen here as well. So let's say I was going to process a unit holder change, then effectively it's very, very similar in terms of how it presents for shareholder transactions in companies. So again, I've got the whole prescribed list of transactions. I can also then add my unit holder distributions here from within the screen as well. So when I click on add a distribution, then I can obviously put in all of those amounts. Okay. And then I would simply click on save and prepare documents. So let's select that, and we'll go and do that bit. So now it's now pushed it into the document production screen, and now you've got your distribution statement. Okay, and that's obviously used a default template that we have within CAS 360. We've got a declaration of distribution resolution. Okay, and again, we can amend this to suit your current templates, and then also a listing of distributions paid. Okay, and then again, if I need to change the template, I can do so by clicking on the options. And then by clicking send all, that would bring up the email preview dialog box to then email it out of CAS 360. And furthermore, that is supported by electronic signatures. So that's a unit trust for you. Now let's go and take a look at a discretionary trust. So we'll go back to the trust selection screen. I'm now going to select the Big Bash discretionary trust. Okay, so again, you've got all the attributes at the top. The only difference here is now you've got beneficiaries because it's a discretionary trust. And here from within the screen, I can add my beneficiaries. I can then also process my distribution. So we'll go and add a distribution. And it brings up this very neat table, which then allows me to input all of my components, and furthermore, to enter to then also select any components of the tax return as well. I can also then process distributions, whether in the form of a dollar amount or a percentage, or use a free text form as well. Okay, so I might just, for the purposes of this exercise, that, and $10 there, $10 there, and we'll save and prepare our documents. So again, pushes it into document production, and then I've got my distribution statement that I can preview there. Okay. And that's how simple it is. Okay. And I suppose moving on, the last thing I wanted to, or I'd like to show here, is the trust events register. So when I click on events, we've now got an inbuilt trust register, which allows you to record any specific events to the trust, and furthermore, produce any documents in relation to that. Okay, so then it produces a trustee minutes, which upon previewing will then give you, will have the document template with obviously the details of the specific event. So in this case, there's been an acquisition of asset, and it's obviously pushed that information into this document, and that's ready to be signed. And then you've also got a trust events register. When upon clicking, will give me a obviously historical trail of all of the events associated with this trust. Okay. And if I click on add events here, then I've got all of these events that I can sort of record. So whether there's sort of loans, or there's there's reevaluations, or there's a specific transaction, and then furthermore, that will simply prepare the form. And last but not least, just like you do with your companies, you've got your documents tab here, which has a history of all of the documents that you would produce in relation to the trust, and also with the ability to upload any documents that you wish to upload into CAS 360. Okay, and that's the trust register for you. So the trust events register is a fairly new function that we've added in recent times. So certainly, I hope that it will add significant value to your corporate secretarial or trust administration process. Okay, so a few other things that we'll cover off just before we sort of move towards the end of the session. So if I click on messages, I've got my full audit trail of all of the all of the emails and messages that are sent from CAS 360, and then of course the statuses of any documents that have been electronically signed, or if there's been any validation errors with the ASIC database, and so forth. Okay. If I go into contacts, that'll bring up all of my contacts, and then it will also have it'll have the companies, the trusts, the individuals, and so forth. So let's say, for example, I go into this particular contact. Okay, so now what I can do is, in terms of information, I can then add in their birth details if I need to, and put in their birth country and their birthday and nationality and so forth. I can also record any other names. So if there's a casual name, then it will then merge into all of the email and document templates, or the merge fields. So for example, if I've got somebody who's called, so if the client's called Thomas, but then you just want, but they go by their name of Tom, then you can sort of assign that, and then that'll then push that into any sort of letters or document templates or documentation that you produce out of CAS 360. Okay. Now, in preparation for the change of directors' IDs, which is sort of due in the next year or so, we've now got this compliance tab, which will then allow you to add in your directors' IDs, and then furthermore the relevant identification details. So when it comes to either driver's licenses or passports, we've now built this in preparation for when ASIC roll out those changes. Okay. Yeah, so that's the contact screen. I mean, very quickly, we'll take a look at settings. So this is obviously where you would add your agent details and go through the process to obviously authorize that with ASIC. Then this is where you're able to access all of the document templates, but also then upload any of your own. You can also then set up your email templates. You've got the ability to change your email settings, so where the reply to email, or what the reply to email address is, and we've now also got functionality for, or we're in the process of rolling out functionality for having your customized domain. Okay. And then last but not least, your electronic signature settings, which then allows you to authorize either DocuSign or Adobe Sign. Going back to the company selection screen, just the last thing that we'd like to show you is the ability to prepare your agent forms. So you can click on this tab, which then allows you to lodge your Form RA71s if you're needing to request any annual reviews. And then, of course, if there's a Form 362 that you need to set up as well, or you need to lodge as well. Okay. Of course, so now we'll sort of exit the software for a second, just to sort of show you some of our third-party integrations. So you can find all of that within our marketplace. So if I sort of jump over here, then I can then, for example, then see all of the document providers that we work with. Or specifically, if I want to look at CAS 360 integrations, then these are all of the current integrations that we support. Okay. Again, coming to practice management, so we obviously work very closely with Xero Practice Manager and integrate with for the purposes of syncing contacts and also to Xero jobs as well. Okay. And of course, in these signatures, you'll find all of our providers, and then we've also got FuseSign, who will be coming on board shortly. Okay. Okay, so just the last few couple of slides before we sort of come to the end of the session. So you can obviously find all of your support and learning resources through the BGL Hub. So you've got access to our help center, you've got access through to our support, You've got access to the BGL community. You've got access to webinars such as these ones that we obviously roll out from time to time. And you also have, as part of your subscription, access to the learning channel. And the learning channel basically is self-paced training that you can sort of undertake at any given stage. Okay. Last but not least, pricing. So CAS 360 is sold in a minimum block of 25 companies, and then it's 5 company upgrades thereafter. So it's $13 ex-GST per company per annum. And of course, you have the ability to go on either a monthly or annual subscription. As I did explain before, for those of you who are using CAS Desktop, you can use our migration utility to migrate all of your historical data, including your documents. And of course, if you're using the ASIC portal or any other software, then we will import all of the data for you from ASIC. Okay. And that's that. And here are my contact details for reference. Certainly hope you took a lot away from this product demonstration, and certainly feel free to shoot through any questions that you have or feedback that you have for us. On behalf of BGL, I'd like to thank you again for taking the time, and we certainly look forward to hearing from you.